Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our board meeting. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amanda, will you call the roll?
Trustee Messick?
Here.
Trustee Rocco?
Here.
Trustee Sheehan?
Here.
Trustee Casera?
Here.
Trustee Zora?
Here.
Trustee Lautner is absent. President DeCipio?
Here.
Quorum is present, sir.
Thank you, Amanda. Before we move on to public participation, I have a duty to perform here. I've invited the LaGrange Lyons Township High School cross-country team to join us tonight so we can recognize their achievements of this past year. Here, Sarah, do you want to join me, or will you speak from there?
I will speak from here. Thank
Sure.
you, President DeCipio. Yes.
Okay. You know, it's always a privilege and a pleasure to introduce either members of our community that have done extraordinary things to recognize LaGrange Park, and it's my privilege tonight to recognize the Lyons Township Cross Country Team, which has 3 members from LaGrange Park. But just as important, they recognize our community and what they've done this year's accomplishments. And it's about time that Lyons Township Cross Country Team gets recognized for all their efforts. Not only do we have the members of the cross country team with us tonight, but we also have the Coach of the Year, Coach Danner, who was just recognized by his peers and was nominated Coach of the Year. So I'm going to read a proclamation that we're going to give to you guys to take back to school, and you show Mr. Kilray and everybody what we've done, and recognize you guys as being second in the state, but more importantly, or just as important, nationwide too. So whereas on behalf, and Coach, would you come up? And if you guys would like to join him. They're so young and tall, aren't they? Whereas on behalf of the governing body and all the citizens of our community, it gives me a great deal of pleasure to express to all the members of the Lyons Township High School Boys Cross Country Team our sincere congratulations on finishing second at the 2015 IHSA State Finals. Whereas the Lions finished their season by placing 3rd at the Nike Midwest Regional and 9th place on the Nike National in Portland, Oregon. Whereas special commendation is due to the entire cross country team for their fine efforts, dedication, and perseverance this past season. Whereas Vince Zona and Danny Kilray were all state runners, and Danny Kilray named as the state's most improved runner. Whereas Coach Danner was instrumental in developing pride, integrity, and high aspirations for the Lyons Township High School cross country program, and has been named Coach of the Year for 3A by DISTAT, Illinois. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, James L. DeCipio, President of the Village of LaGrange Park, on behalf of the Board of Trustees and the residents of the Village of LaGrange Park, do hereby issue this proclamation recognizing the achievements of the 2015 Lyons Township High School Cross Country Team and offer our best wishes for the Lions' continued success. I've been able and fortunate to watch the progress of most of you young men since my son Jake helps Coach Danner. And you guys have built quite a reputation and quite a program, and I commend the coaches because you are developing a reputation as one of the finest programs in the state. Continue on. You're fine individuals that show our community what great individuals we have, and continued success, and continue your benefit to all of you and your families, the recognition that you receive throughout your careers in cross country. Coach Danner first, would you say a few words?
Thank you. Just would like to thank the village for taking their time to recognize us. Sometimes we fly a little bit under the radar, but this is very special to us. This shows a little bit of personal attention, and we appreciate that. As Mr. DeCipio said, we had a great season. We finished second at the state finals. Building and building. Finished 3rd, 4th, 3rd the previous years. Second this year, and I think you know what we're thinking about next year. So we're looking forward to next year. We return quite a few of these guys up here, our top 2 runners from the state meet this year, and we have a lot of young guys that are ready to help with the program. We also were fortunate enough to qualify for the Nike Team Nationals in Portland, Oregon. Guys had a wonderful experience, 4 days, all expenses paid by Nike, airfare, everything. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for them. And they went there after training 3 weeks on their own after the conclusion of our season and finished ninth. Going in, we would barely ranked, I don't know, maybe in the top 20. So we were one of the teams at the Nationals that probably improved the most, stepped up the most at Nationals. So it really showed a lot about their character to be able to do that and to perform at the highest level when they haven't been there ever before. Had a lot of doubters. So I was very pleased with everything there, and I'm sure they could tell you it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Just like to say that I'm very fortunate to be able to work with these guys and all the kids in our team in this community, and we're looking forward to, again, just continue on with what we're doing and getting more kids involved. So again, I'd like to thank the village for recognizing us this evening. All right, let me introduce our athletes tonight. First off, Danny Kilray, LaGrange Park's own. Vince Zona. Connor Bedell. Matt Begeman. Alex Paul. Dan Palmer's not here. He was sick from school today. I'm sure he'll be back, ready to go tomorrow, though. Tim McCarthy, LaGrange Park's own. And thank you, everyone, for taking your time tonight. We really appreciate it.
Next year, we're going to have you back as state champs. How's that?
Yeah.
Trustees, sir, do you want to say
Just a couple of words, and first of all, congratulations. And secondly, I really find it interesting that Coach Danner said it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience, because I think he expects to be back there next year with you guys, and I'm sure you will be. Nothing wrong with setting high goals, but I was fortunate to have my son run for Coach Danner and run cross country. And as Coach Danner said, it's really a sport that flies under the radar. And what I'd like to do is just ask either Coach Danner or a couple of the athletes, talk about how you guys train, the mileage you run, and the dedication you put into your sport. And secondly, also to Danny Kilray, who, in addition to his achievements that have been mentioned tonight, was also the most improved runner in the state of Illinois this year. And when you talk about cross country nationally, the state of Illinois is definitely probably the top state. And just to put the Nike Nationals in perspective, there's 24 teams from throughout the country that come to run, and being ranked or finishing ninth nationally is a huge accomplishment, as the Nike Cross Nationals is by far the premier cross country meet in the country, with every top runner competing. So thank you guys, and please just talk a little bit about what you guys do.
Connor Riddell. Just to talk a little bit about what we did in preparation for the season. Coach Danner always says that state trophies and even more aren't won at the beginning of August when the season starts. They're won 3 months earlier when the summer starts. So we started out the summer training very hard, building off last year's success. And, you know, we all shot for about 600 to 700 miles over the summer, averaging about 8 to 10 a day at a considerably fast pace. So, but it was a lot of fun working with these guys, and it was a lot of fun training with them. It's a lot of, it makes the miles not hurt as much having these guys by your side. So it was a lot of work, but it sure paid off in the end.
So I'm Danny Kilray, and as the season ended, as we found out that we wanted to go to the national meet, we kept training, which was, as we thought we were over, we soon realized that 3 more weeks would be added to our season. And we kept having fast runs and workouts, and I think that just like one of the most memorable times is when we had a mile time trial, and we started and we got through a lap, and then it started pouring rain, and I just remember that as we all like got so mad as it started raining, and then we just kept working hard because we knew that we wanted to finish strong, and I think our training really exemplified that. And I'm just honored to be a part of this team and being able to have Coach Danner give us this training that has made us so successful.
Quick question, just go down the line. How many miles did you guys run this last 12 months? 23, 2,500? Just around 2,000, 2,500? It's amazing. Thank you, guys.
I can't drive that. Thank you guys so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, you guys can go. Unless you want to stay.
I don't think you want to say.
Okay, moving on, public participation. Anyone care to address the board? Okay, consent agenda. Amanda?
Mr. President, I'd like to ask that 5B be removed tonight from the consent agenda and move to the administrative committee, please.
Second.
No, it's not a motion.
I thought he said move.
Okay, we'll move 5B to 7B under your administrative report.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead, Amanda.
The items on the consent agenda are as follows. A, approval of minutes, Village Board meeting, November 24th, 2015. Village Board meeting, December 8th, 2015. Work session meeting, January 12th, 2016. Work session, executive session, January 12th, 2016. C, action 2015-16 salt purchase contract. Open purchase order. Motion approving an open purchase order with Central Salt LLC not to exceed a total amount $80,013. And authorizing the use of $5,013 from fund balance should it be necessary to purchase the full 1,000 tons. D, action approved village banks. Motion to approve an ordinance designating village depository and financial institutions and authorized signers. E, action motion to authorize the president and chairperson of the finance committee to sign the register for bills and authorize the treasurer and village clerk to sign checks in the payment of operating bills and salaries as itemized in the check registers. F, action motion to authorize the village treasurer and village clerk to sign checks in the payment of payroll and other bills that become due between this date and February 23rd, 2016, with subsequent approval of the payroll register and voucher register by the Board of Trustees at its regular meeting to be held on February 23rd, 2016.
So I'll entertain a motion approving the consent agenda, thereby removing 5B and placing it under the administrative report.
So move.
We have a second?
Second.
Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Amanda. Moving on, village manager's report. Julia?
Mr. President, I have nothing to report this evening. Thank you.
Administration committee, in lieu of Robert Lautner, Trustee Lautner not being with us tonight, Trustee Sheehan will do the report.
Thank you, Mr. President. First off, we touch on the generator project. Lions Pinner Electric has begun additional work on the generator project, and as of this week has dropped off new equipment and supplies. The next thing on Pinner's schedule is to install the automatic transfer switch and begin electrical rough-in for the basement. They are also utilizing the police garage for the storage of equipment. TIF update. The village continued to study the feasibility of utilizing tax increment financing, TIF, a public financing tool, which is utilized by municipalities to promote redevelopment, investment in public infrastructure, and fund other community improvement projects. Various village staff members are providing information to SB Friedman, the village's development advisors, in an effort to evaluate 5 areas within our community for potential redevelopment. The initial findings of SB Friedman may be ready for presentation to the staff development team as soon as the first week in February. Referendum update, the village is hosting its second town hall meeting on the 2016 bond referenda. Residents will be invited to come to this meeting for factual information and to have all questions answered. That meeting will take place February 10th at 7 o'clock in this room at 447 North Catherine. LTAC update, the village managers from the 3 participating communities, LaGrange, LaGrange Park, Western Springs, met this week to discuss various issues related to the progressing consolidated dispatch. Topics included certification, filing with the state, governance, information technology needs, and space needs study. The executive director of LTAC will be interviewing certain architectural firms who responded to LTAC's request for qualification for architectural services for design of public safety dispatch center located in LaGrange. The RFQ process is governed by the Local Government Professional Services Selection Act 50 ILCS 510.01 at SEQ. Illinois' healthiest housing markets, good news. Recently, Smart Asset, a New York financial technology company, released the rankings from its second annual Healthiest Housing Market Study, and LaGrange Park made the list at number 8 in Illinois, up from its ranking of number 28 in 2015. The study measures market health by average number of years that residents spend in their homes, overall home values, ease of sale, and cost associated with home ownership. A friendly reminder, the village offices will be closed on Monday, February 15th in observance of President's Day holiday. Regular office hours will resume on Tuesday, February 16th at 8:30 a.m. The police and the fire department will remain open. Good news, the subscriber update, latest numbers we have for e-briefs, for residents signed up for e-briefs and safety briefs is at 2,045.
Yes, go ahead with the motion item.
Okay, Mr. President. Okay. The motion up for action tonight is the adoption of model franchise ordinance, natural gas franchise. We motion to adopt an ordinance authorizing and granting a franchise to Northern Illinois Gas Company, DBA Nicor Gas Company, its successors, and assigns to construct, operate, and maintain a natural gas distribution system in and throughout the village of LaGrange Park, Illinois. Natural gas franchise agreement.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Trustee Sheehan?
Mr. President, at this time, due to my employment, I'd like to abstain my vote on this at this time. Thank you.
Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan's abstaining. Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And that concludes the administrative report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Building and Zoning Committee, Trustee Zora?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to report the building department activities for December of 2015. There were 51 building permits issued in December. At the end of 2015, the village had issued 39 fewer permits as compared to 2014. The estimated construction costs for December were up substantially, about 79% from December of 2014. Permit fees collected were up in addition at 65%. 144 inspections were conducted this past December. 29 were not approved. At the end of December, there were 1,951 inspections conducted. This was 165 more inspections than 2014. During the month, our building inspector was on site at the former Alex and Aldo's restaurant. The building owners have begun to clear out the tenant space and had some very preliminary discussions with the potential new tenant. Staff, along with our village engineer, met with the Park District Executive Director and their new firm handling the Memorial Park Improvement Project. Discussions took place regarding the status of the plan for the new shelter house and park overall. During the month, a great amount of progress was made regarding the emergency generator installation. The area was excavated, the exterior rough electric was completed, along with the concrete pour for the pad. A permit for a new home to be located at 750 North Brainerd was also issued. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Zora. Give me 1 second here while I scroll this thing down. Okay, Engineering Capital Projects Committee, Trustee Casera.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 4 items to report on this evening. The first item, the project closeout continues on the Illinois Department of Transportation contract for the Kemen Avenue resurfacing project from 31st Street to 26th Street. Second item, Cleveland Avenue is also complete with only a few punch list issues remaining to resolve and closeout items to be performed. Third item, closeout of the resurfacing of Pine Tree Lane and Finsbury Lane is complete and only punch list and closeout items remain. A detailed review of sewer video provided by Visu Sewer of Illinois continues. Once any required repairs are identified, a program to perform these repairs will be brought to the village for their consideration. And that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Casera. Public Safety Committee, Trustee Messick.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, we will start with the Police Department summary of activities for December 2015. Grand totals of 211 criminal incidents were reported to the LaGrange Park Police Department during 2015. In 2014, there were 237 crimes reported. This represents a 12% decrease from the previous year. Total traffic enforcement increased by 10% in 2015 with 6,742 total citations issued compared to 6,083 during the year of 2014. Overall police activity during 2015 decreased by 17% for the year with 6,002 total incidents compared to 7,058 during 2014. The total numbers of cases involving juvenile offenders or contacts for 2015 were 54 compared to 66 in the prior year. This represents a decrease of 22%. The police department was involved with a variety of new programs in the past year, 2015, i.e. Coffee with the Chief, Shop with the Cop, Door Hanger Awareness, Narcan, Walk and Talk, etc. In 2016, Coffee with an Officer will be the first new program to start the year on Thursday, February 25th at 6:30 p.m. in the boardroom located at the Village Hall building. That concludes the Police Department report, and now on to Fire Department activities. For December 2015, EMS responses for this month were 135. There had been 1,722 year-to-date compared to 1,652 in the prior year. Fire rescue incidents for the month was 34. There had been 519 year-to-date compared to 496 in 2014. In 2015, the Fire Department responded to the most calls for service they ever have for any given year. As some EMS and fire records overlap, the actual total number of incidents for the year 2015 was 2,107. On December 21st, personnel were saddened to hear of the passing of retired fire chief and longtime village employee Gilbert P. Welch. As such, personnel helped to coordinate and participate in the memorial service for Chief Welch, who was also known as a great carpenter in the village. Overall, there was a good turnout from neighboring fire departments and former firefighters who have worked with or for Chief Welch. During the memorial, the Western Springs Fire Department provided an engine and crew to stand by in our fire station, so most of the department could attend the walkthrough and service together. Also, personnel represented our department by attending the wake and fire department walkthroughs for Chicago firefighter Daniel Capuano and Matson Fire Department firefighter-paramedic Mark Zielinski. Firefighter Capuano fell through a hole in the floor while fighting a fire in a commercial building, and firefighter PM collapsed while help performing CPR to a customer who suffered a cardiac arrest in a Walmart store. The firefighter department delivered Santa to the Holiday in the Park event at the Park District and also provided a fire safety presentation to attendees. Fire EMS personnel received 2 letters of commendation from the Loyola EMS systems for incidents in recent months where crews revived patients in cardiac arrest. On Monday, panels in the front large overhead door at Fire Station 1 were replaced with door trim. Fire sprinkler plans were received for review by our fire prevention staff for 2 new homes in the Nazareth addition and the dinner club to be located in the Village Market. Various sprinkler and fire inspections also took place for other new homes and other occupancies. On December 3rd, the fire department responded with an engine to assist Brookfield with a fire involving a dryer in a condo in the 6-story residential building near the Brookfield BNSF train station. There were 3 responses to carbon monoxide incidents during the month. 2 involved elevated levels coming from stoves, and 1 in the running of gas generator at Village Market, which caused high CO levels in the family video store. And I just wanted to mention briefly, as the chief noted in his note, that there was 2 letters of commendation, and these came for personnel. I just want to mention some of the personnel involved. For excellent service. They did an excellent job managing patient recovery and changing cardiac status. In one case, it was Brian Whitman, John Dietrich, Dan Bink, and Norm Rick, and James Ficadel. On another incident, we had John Dietrich, Robert Herkmanis, Patrick Hurley, and Sandy Mon. And also, during the month, we had a letter from a resident, or actually relatives of a resident, recognizing our fire chief officer, Doug Rackow. So these are some of the things that the guys just do their job. They do, our public safety does an excellent job, and some of the lower line guys keep doing it an excellent service and never get the recognition. These things come through, and I just wanted to point that out on some of them.
Thank you, Trustee Messick. Chief?
If I can just mention one thing. On one of those cardiac arrest saves, I would just like to mention that Tim Contois from the police department was very instrumental in that. He was not mentioned in the letters, but I did want to pass that along.
Thank you, Chief.
And that concludes.
Duly recognized. Thank you, Trustee Messick. Okay, Public Works Committee, Trustee Sheehan.
Thank you, Mr. President. The following report is for December 2015. Public Work operations. Leaf pickup operations ended the 2nd week of December. 209 hours were spent collecting leaves throughout town with approximately 200 loads picked up. The village's contractor hauled leaves out from December 9th through December 11th, totaling a little over 1,000 cubic yards removed. 51 regular hours and 50.4 overtime hours were spent plowing and salting village streets, with approximately 61.4 tons of salt used during 2 weather events. 59 hours were spent filling potholes, with 5 tons of UPM used. 181 hours were spent on the maintenance of public works equipment and vehicles. 187 hours were spent on building and grounds maintenance around the Village Hall, Public Works facility, and along 31st Street. The street sweeper cleaned over 120 miles of street during 77 hours and picked up 165 yards of debris. Various work orders were completed, and crews removing roadkill, tree inspection, and tree trimming, individual brush pickups, parkway repair, cleaning sewer, catch basins, and making sign repair. Various maintenance was performed on village vehicles. Water department operations, over 211 day shift hours and 18 overtime man hours during the month of December were spent on maintenance and repair of sewer and water mains. 31,640,000 gallons of water was purchased from the Brookfield North Riverside Water Commission. 1,332 water meters were read in Section 3. 50 monthly accounts and 21 final meter readings were taken. Various inspections, appointments, and service calls were performed. 15 water bacterial and samples were taken, and all samples passed. 106 utility locations were identified prior to excavations. 1 water main and 1 service line was repaired, and 2 Buffalo box repairs were made. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. And then Finance Committee, Trustee Rocco.
Thank you, Mr. President. We are 67% through our fiscal year 2016. The highlights are fiscal year to date general fund revenue is at 65% of the annual budget and approximately $333,000 greater than last year. Property tax receipts are about $87,000 higher than last year at this time. The increase is partially due to the timing of collections and refunds compared to the prior year. Sales tax revenue is down about 2.6% from the prior year. Natural gas tax receipts have dropped about 44% from last year. Prior receipts were higher due to extremely cold weather last winter and a recent drop in gas prices. Permit revenue from building activity is about 20% higher than last year. License fees are down about $19,000 due to slightly lower vehicle sticker sales and penalties, as well as the timing of business license payments. Intergovernmental revenue is about $126,000 or 12% greater than last year due to increased receipts from state shared revenues, including income tax and personal property replacement tax. The village began receiving amounts held due to the state budget impasse in December, including the local use tax. Charges for services are about $53,000 greater than last year, primarily due to higher ambulance fee collections. Fine revenue is 16% higher than the prior year, due in part to the use of the state local debt recovery program to collect unpaid tickets. However, circuit court revenue has dropped significantly due to lower fines assessed by the courts. Miscellaneous revenue is about $70,000 higher than last year and includes the collection of payments in lieu of taxes due from prior years and increased reimbursements for damage to village property. Total general fund expenditures are within expectations at 59% of the annual budget and about $1.09 million lower than last year. Last year's budget included a $1.2 million transfer to the Capital Projects Fund compared to $200,000 this year. Excluding the difference in the capital transfer, total fiscal year-to-date expenditures are about $38,000 or 0.8% lower than last year. And that concludes my report, and there are no action items. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Rocco. Other reports, Village Clerk?
Just have one item. The last day to register to vote is Tuesday, February 16th for the March elections. I will be at Plymouth Place registering voters on Friday, February 12th from 1 to 3, and I will be available at Village Hall on Saturday, February 13th from 10 to 12. And that is all I have to report.
Thank you, Amanda. Village Treasurer? Nothing additional report, Mr. President. Our Village Engineer? No report, Mr. President. Our Village Attorney?
No report, Mr. President.
Okay, motion to approve committee and collectors reports as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I just have a couple of items. As Trustee Sheehan had mentioned, we've been very fortunate with the staff and our department heads and our village manager and assistant village manager to progress our community in a positive direction. And what I mean by that is we've had the results now of many surveys and awards that the village has received, two recently, 8th healthiest housing market in the state of Illinois, and then the 8th safest city, small city in the state of Illinois. So, you know, that's a kudos to our fire, our police, our public works, all of our departments, our administrative department, and the people that lead all these folks to make our community what it is today. And I don't want to take that lightly because we are ranked. We're out there. People know about LaGrange Park, and it's a challenge for us to continue to strive and improve our community. I want the board to know, as you do know, the February 5th is our board strategic planning meeting. And one other item I'd like to address the board with, I've talked to Julie about this a little bit. Next year is going to be our 125th anniversary of a village. And I think I'd like to have the board start to think about what we would like to do to celebrate that occasion. And we have, you know, it's the time to get the wheels moving on this. And I'm not sure what the board would like to do. Julie has some good ideas. I think we need to do something in recognition of 125 years of our wonderful village. Any public participation? Any new business? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.